Welcome back to the channel, everyone. We sparking the creativity for today's video. I got my all scheme fit team, and this is going to be quarterback. Probably going to come out in a 3-by-1. We're having 3 receivers, 1 running back, quarterback, of course, the offensive line. Got the defensive guys. We're going to have a slot corner, 2 safeties, 2 linebackers, and the defensive line. So I'm talking about every position who I think are the best scheme fits. We're going to have team 1 and team 2. So starting off with team 1 for my quarterback, I got Anthony Richardson. And that's because, now understand, when we do these scheme fits, these aren't the best players for the teams. These are the best players put in the best position by what we know about the team, what we know about the scheme. I believe with Shane Steichen coming over, what he did with Jalen Hurts, understanding how can we work with the quarterback who has the raw tools, who has athleticism that Anthony Richardson has. So we're adding that. We're thinking about Jalen Hurts, some of the same things we did from the progression of year 1 to the progression of year 2, getting into that MVP conversation, going to the Super Bowl. Anthony Richardson is in a prime position, and we also got him a weapon, which is going to be on my all-scheme team that we're going to see a little bit later. Now, let's get into the running back position because this was an interesting one. I thought for a deep running back class, these guys didn't go, how I thought they would. Some of the running backs, Dwayne McBride going in the 7th round, we all know he went to the Minnesota Vikings. That was kind of odd, but I think Bijan has to be number 1. Knowing Arthur Smith, knowing what he did with Derrick Henry, knowing the offensive line they have, bringing in Matthew Bergeron, going to be a stout offensive lineman. Know he has the run blocking prowess. And we have Chris Lindstrom, who we just paid. We got Jake Matthews. We got all of those guys on the offensive line, and we're throwing Bijan behind that. Now, I think he's going to do more than just run the ball for this football team, but when he gets in the backfield, he runs it. It's going to be outright scary. And we still got Al Greer. People understand Al Greer is not going anywhere. You don't rush for 1,000 yards that young in your career and think just because Bijan comes in, you're going. It's not going to work like that. We know in today's NFL, everybody has a 2-back system, if not a 3-back system, because they still got Cordell, even though he's getting close to an expiring contract. But we still got him. So we're using these guys as weapons. And we can realistically have Bijan, Patterson, and Al Greer on the field at the same time. I think it's a beautiful scheme fit. Now, get into the receivers. Understand, we're going to have 3 receivers. One of them is going to be a slot guy, and then we're going to have a tight end. So if you don't hear a guy, just understand that slot guy has its own position. Then we have 2 outside receivers. Now, Jordan Addison could be, I consider him as an inside-outside type of receiver. A lot of people are saying 6 foot 175. Let's throw him in the slot. I think he can work outside as the perfect complement to a Justin Jefferson. Love the fit. Love his route running. Intermediate, can be a possession guy. And, he got open on some deep routes at USC, at Pitt. But I think in the intermediate, being a possession receiver, because we already know Justin Jefferson is going to pull a lot of the coverage. So we bringing him in, going to get some one-on-one opportunities. He's going to cook. We're going to let him eat. Now, I think Jaden Reed is a nice pick. But as I get down the board, and I told you, this is my slot guy, and we're going to get back into the outside receivers. But Josh Downs for this team, I thought the value, I saw him as one of the best receivers in the class. Slot guy, pure slot guy. Could win at the outside, won on the outside some at North Carolina, but I think in the NFL, we already got Pittman. We got Pierce, a deep burner coming out of Cincinnati, and we just got a lot of big guys in our receiving room, and throwing in that perfect slot. Not going to be the biggest deep threat, but in the intermediate, being that possession guy, being that surefire guy, you're going to need a guy like this for Anthony Richardson in that rookie year, because I think he's going to start. And thinking about it now, just think about it. If Jalen Hurts had A.J. Brown, had Devontae Smith, if they had that plug-and-play slot guy, because Quez gave Philadelphia some problems, but you give him a Josh Downs, you throw that in that offense, I think Josh Downs is going to be disastrous for defenses coming out of Indianapolis. Really, really like this move. I give this pick an A+ for the Colts. Now, getting back to another outside receiver, there's some good guys here. Parker Washington going there. A.T. Perry at the Saints going so late, though. That was kind of the question to me. Iosavis coming out of Princeton. this is really a tough one. Now we got to think about it. I think Xavier Hutchinson, real big time steal. But if I had to go with fit, what I truly think, I think I have to go Jonathan Mingo for Bryce Young. Adding him in that offense, they got DJ Chark, they got Adam Thielen. Now he's kind of your do-it-all receiver. You know, a bigger body guy, 225 as we can see the rate right there. Got some AJ Brown comps. That's some high praise as we know it. But he's that type of package. A big guy gonna run after the catch, getting physical at the top of the route, gonna go get the football. You can put him, use him out of the backfield, different types of things. I wouldn't say he's a gadget player because he is a wide receiver by every account, but he's just one of those players you want to get the ball in his hands, and he becomes a running back with the football, like we see AJ Brown, like we see Deebo Samuel, some of those guys. And I think for Bryce Young, in that first year, that's going to be a need. Now, a lot of people said Jonathan Mingo went high. You got to understand, I mean, really, as I was evaluating, getting closer to the process, he was one of the higher guys that I saw. We saw Jaden Reed coming up. We saw all these guys coming up, and we knew that somebody was going to be taken high. Now, I thought Cedric Tillman, he was coming up. Thought he would go higher. Wouldn't even be mad at Cedric Tillman in the back half of the second round. But you got Mingo. I think he's going to really help Bryce Young with Chark, with Thielen, with Miles Sanders. Now, interesting position, one of the deepest positions in the draft. Tight end. I got to go Michael Mayer. It's my first one. Kind of by default, but it's not a lazy take. There's really a lot of calculation when thinking about this. They lost Darren Waller, Jimmy G, Josh McDaniels. We know what they want to get done with the football. It's all about quick processing, quick reads, short passing game, intermediate passing game. We're not looking to eat things up deep, but we got Devontae Adams still. We got a Renfro. And now we got this guy. We lost Mac Hollins. We lost Darren Waller. But we brought in Michael Mayer, a real security blanket, can come in, day one starter. Going to obviously be one of the best tight ends in the game out of the jump. Never going to be the freak athlete. Can block as well. We know the running game with Josh Jacobs. I think this is a perfect scheme fit. And he could arguably be the best player at the position. Now, interior. And this is where it can get a bit tricky. I got to go John Michael Schmitz one. I like Joe Tippmann. I think he's a pretty good player. For their scheme, he might be better than John Michael Schmitz for New York Jets. But I think the Giants getting a player they wouldn't mind drafting at 25, knowing he's going to fit in that scheme, knowing it's kind of a need in a scheme fit, but bringing him in, not the best athlete, but is athletic enough, can make the blocks that you need him to make, has a pretty solid anchor as far as in the middle. And I mean, he's a starter. I don't know about the all-pro potential, the Pro Bowl potential. We're going to have to see. But I do think he has a lot of tools that make him a day one starter. It improves this position better than it was last year. Right now it's pretty solid. We need this for Daniel Jones. We need this for Saquon Barkley. That's my scheme fit for this. Now, I really like Steve Avila. And I was surprised. I wasn't surprised. I wouldn't say I was surprised because he offers a little more versatility than an Osiris Torrance, a mountain of a man, and we kind of know what scheme that he's stuck to. Now, Chandler Zavala was a pick that I really like down here, and he's not my second team guard, but it's kind of interesting. Now, my other guard, I got Osiris Torrance and I got Steve Avila. Those are my two guards who I think scheme fit are great for their teams. So Osiris Torrance doing what Buffalo needs him to do, bringing him in, going to be a mauler in the run game. They need to make that identity, truly. Now, he's going to have to work on some of his passing game, pass sets, but overall, I think what you need him for is to create that identity in the run game. Now, Steve Avila going to the Los Angeles Rams, I think it was kind of a steal. In a team that offensive line was terrible last year. You lost Andrew Wentworth. He retired. So we knew last year was kind of going to be some growing pains going into there, and it was. Matthew Stafford got sacked. He got hurt. The guys came in, John Walford. It was never there. Baker Mayfield, any guy you wanted to talk about. The protection was not on point. Now, I want to get into the tackles. I mean, I know who I like as my tackle. My left tackle is Paris Johnson. Now, I don't know if he's going to be day one left tackle because they have an interesting depth chart situation in Arizona, which I've talked about, but he's my day one tackle for this team. And I just think, as far as scheme fit, when he's a tackle like this, he's athletic, has strength, a smart football player. We just going to because Kyler Murray isn't going to be playing day one. So we know the scheme is going to be a little different until he gets healthy, till he comes back. But I just think some of these players are scheme proof, and Paris Johnson can be a left tackle on a lot of football teams. So that's why I like him right there. Now, Broderick Jones, that is my scheme fit for my right tackle. And he's probably going to be a left tackle. He could also play right tackle for Pittsburgh, but athletic. Going to have to work on some of the things. And he's one of those guys, starting one year, you can tell that if he figures it all out, he may be better than a Paris Johnson. Now, it's hard to figure it all out. It truly is. But if he gets the hand placement, we look at what he was doing while not knowing everything at the tackle position. It's kind of amazing. The athleticism, having the feet. Now, he's kind of a lean build. When you look at Broderick Jones, that 310 is carried in a pretty nice package. So you could tell he's athletic. He can move like that. But once he gets his hands right, Broderick Jones, Paris Johnson, those are my two tackles. Now, we bringing him in with Najee Harris. We got the receivers who we want to see take that next step. Deontay Johnson, George Pickens, Kenny Pickett taking his next step. That's my two guys. Now, my favorite position in the draft, edge. My first edge, Tyree Wilson. Really like Tyree Wilson for this team. I think he's going to do a lot opposite of Max Crosby. They still got Chandler Jones coming in. Now, we watched him at Texas Tech. He's one of the players who doesn't have it all put together, but he still got it done. If we talk about Broderick Jones for tackles, Tyree Wilson is the Broderick Jones of the defensive line. I mean, that's kind of the best comparison I can make. Most accurate thinking about it. Really think about that. But I think he's great for that scheme fit. They're going to have to get after the passer. They're going to have to stop the run. But really getting after the passer, they're talking about that division, knowing them. He kind of has that slow burn. But the thing about him is, though, he doesn't have the most electric get off, but his closing speed is deadly. If he can get into the offensive lineman's chest and then have the ability to close on somebody, you're not stopping Tyree Wilson. And I think that's the biggest thing right now with him. Now, getting into my second scheme fit, I like Myles Murphy for the Cincinnati Bengals. I think bringing him in, just another guy. You still got Sam Hubbard. You still got Trey Hendrickson. So now it's all about how can we develop him? Because he can be a top 2 to 3 edge in this class. Can stop the run right now. Gonna have to work on that pass rush arsenal, that pass rush package. But I think for what they want to do, how they like their edges, their size profile, the athletic profile, he fits right in. That's what we call a scheme fit. Now, my defensive tackles, let's not even kid ourselves. Jalen Carter. The perfect Robin to Jordan Davis is Jalen Carter. Has the pass rush arsenal, can stop the run, gonna force doubles. So if he's forcing the double, how are you gonna double team Jordan Davis? I mean, that's very, very scary. It doesn't even take. Jalen Carter needs no introduction at this point. So knowing him with Jordan Davis, now Jordan Davis, who went through some injury, came back, didn't get to show everything he could do in his rookie year, but I thought that first stretch when he played before the injury, he was showing that he was vital in stopping the run with this Eagles team. When he went out, they went and got Sue. They had to go get guys, Linval Joseph. That's screaming Jordan Davis is that guy. Now, for this second one, there are so many guys, and I like the interior. I think it was a better interior class than people lead on to believe. So I really like Elijah Cansey with Vita Vea. I like that pairing. But I think for this one, I'm going to go with need and scheme fit. I think Mozzie Smith. Now, understand, these aren't the best players that I'm saying that again. These aren't the best players. But I do think he's the need and he's a scheme fit. Now, you went out and got Jonathan Hankins. You still got Ziggy. You got those guys in the interior. But you don't have a Mozzie Smith. Gonna get some ugly pass rushes, some ugly sacks. Maybe he can get you 4 or 5 in a season. Gonna stop the run. Is a plugger. gonna need double teams, and he has a solid anchor against double teams. So that's gonna allow Leighton Vander Esch, who has bad eyes, to get some easy tackles. That's gonna allow Overshown, if he gets some rep. Jabril Cox, those type of guys, bringing them in. Mozzie Smith is just a perfect fit for that team. Thinking about a team that struggled to stop the run, they're gonna cover. We can't throw the ball like we want to, and we know their pass rush is deadly, so we want to run the ball. Mozzie Smith is the kryptonite to what teams want to do to us. So let's get into these linebackers. First team linebacker is Jack Campbell. And like I said, now this one is interesting because I think he's the best player, and I think he's a scheme fit for a lot of teams that have a mic. If you're a team who runs kind of that 2 linebacker system, 2 middle linebackers, then he may not be the perfect fit for you. I think when you have a Roquan Smith and a Patrick Queen, Jack Campbell doesn't find himself being a perfect scheme fit in that. But I think for a team like this, where you got Anzalone Rodriguez, now he's coming in. He can stop the run in a nickel package. He can stop the run in a dime package. You don't take Jack Campbell off the field. I think he's a player who's a perfect scheme fit. And what the doctor kind of ordered for this team, got to go with him as my first linebacker. I'm going to tell it to you straight. I got to go with Banks and Gonzalez. I think for 2 man-heavy teams, as my first team corners, it has to be those guys. They're super athletic, size profiles out of this world, 6'2", both of them, 200 plus both of them, can run both of them. For those teams, that's the prototypical. If they could build it in a lab, they would build a Deonte Banks. They would build a Christian Gonzalez. Now, there's some other corners. Emmanuel Forbes is kind of great for what the Commanders like to do in their coverage schemes, but I don't think you're finding a better fit for a team with a player mixed into it than Deonte Banks to New York and Christian Gonzalez to New England. Now, Clark Phillips, ball skills, aggressive, plays competitive with the motor. The perfect kind of fit for this team. And him going to round 4, kind of knew he was going to fall with the combine, tested kind of bad, but he's a football player. I would take football player over athlete sometimes. Nah, I'm not getting stuck into that situation because at the corner, athleticism is a great thing to have. I do think Clark Phillips is one of those sneaky athletic players who's not going to test well, but when he gets on the football field, he can show, I'm not out of place with these top-tier athletes. I can run with these slot receivers. I can run with these receivers. All of those guys, so that's kind of how I feel about him when regarding to athleticism. Now, for the safeties, I'm going to go with 2 guys. I'm going to go with 2 guys for the safety, not holding it to free or strong, because this class is kind of interesting. Now, I think there are a few guys who can play free in the class, but it's not a lot. And we're looking at kind of some dime backers, some slot corners, some strong safeties. Not a lot of guys with great range like we've seen in some other draft classes, but I got to go with Brian Branch, plain and simple. Now, we can call him the nickel guy, the safety. Interesting call on it, but I do think he's the safety nickel combination. He's the best scheme fit. Now we bring in Cameron Sutton, a guy who played slot for Pittsburgh. We got Emmanuel Mosley, but those guys can play outside, and we can use Brian Branch as that defensive mismatch. I've already talked about how we use Brian Branch for a team, and I think adding him in there now, perfect scheme fit, especially for Dan Campbell, Aaron Glenn. You really gotta like this for that team. So, my other one is Sidney Brown. I think Sidney Brown is going to be nice. We lost C.J. Gardner-Johnson. We brought in Terrell Edmonds. We lost Marcus Epps as well to throw that in there. In our safety room, got Justin Evans, a depth piece. But it was kind of, for this Eagles team. And bringing in Sidney Brown, I thought you got him at great value. One of my favorite safeties in the class. Saw him in man coverage. Saw him in zone coverage. Saw him 1 high. Saw him 2 high. Saw him in a nickel. He was everywhere for the Illinois defense. One of the best secondaries in football. Jatavius Martin, Devon Witherspoon, Sidney Brown. Think about all the guys. You bringing that in. He's going to play. He's going to play early for this team. I firmly can say that. I firmly believe in that they're going to ask him to do a lot alongside Terrell Edmonds Whether it be in the slot, whether it be at safety, that's still to be determined. But I really like him, and I think he's a perfect scheme fit and a need for what they needed. So those are my two safeties. You know, we ain't showing no love to the kickers and the punters. Like the kickers and the punters, but can you really be a scheme fit as a kicker and a punter? All respect to the kickers. Let's just show them, give them some love, clap it up for them. A lot of guys got drafted at those positions. Jake Moody being a 3rd-round kicker. Anytime you could change your family situation is great. So, I mean, everybody who got drafted, you winning. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 7th round, Mr. Irrelevant, you winning. You just got to go to training camp, make the team. Undrafted free agent, you winning. Like, you still have potential, and you're in that situation to change it all around. But those are my guys. That's my team. Let me know what you think about it. Who would you have switched out in these positions? Who is your all scheme fit team for some of these NFL teams? But those are my players that I have in the scheme fits. And thank you for watching. If you made it this far, subscribe for more content. Subscribe if you like the content and like the video as well. We're going to keep this thing rolling. Got some more drafts for some other teams that I want to fully analyze. And I think I'm going to come with a deep dive of a full off-season process. That's going to take a minute, but it's going to be well worth the content. And I'm working on that now, but you probably won't even see it till next week. And that's the type of things we have rolling over here. But thank you for watching again. And that's going to do it for today. And now, we out.